These are the people that have all the followers. Think about that. Him. This is a guy on the other side, Dean Withers. He looks 12. I guess he's 19. So both of these men, I don't even want to call them men, because they don't have any wisdom yet. It's just the way it is. You don't. You have opinions. That's what you have, is a bunch of opinions. He has opinions, no wisdom. He has opinions, no wisdom. But look at the age of Charlie Kirk. We have this nation full of people that have no use for anybody but their own age groups. No humility in any of these people. None. That said, I can't totally blame them where they're at in their age. They're not about any of that. They're about whatever they want. You know, I think people get confused with works and faith. And I talked about this a long time ago. And here's the thing. The reason works can't get you into heaven, okay? But you should have works that are of, Christ-like quality. Is because the works come once you surrender. Once you surrender and you're seeking God, the more you're doing that, again, I think most people, because most of the churches have not really explained this right, it's this idea that I will use my own will to do these works that will be seen good in God's eyes. But nobody really seeking, is this really God's will? Because oftentimes you'll find out that the will of God is very different than what this world says is righteous. Really. The money system itself, and again, I've never said that God is against money. It's what money does that is the God of this world. It is what causes fear, worry, anxiety. I mean, it's led to people jumping off of buildings and the Depression, I mean, it's you've seen more of it the negative things it does to people than positive. Now, many people would disagree with that and say, oh, it's brought us innovation, it's brought us that. Yeah, innovation that we're not really ready for because we don't have any spiritual maturity. Everybody thinks they have spiritual maturity. They really don't, because I don't see anybody humble. Not many people. Because that's the other thing. You can't, once you try to make yourself humble, then you're in your ego. Think about it. You are. The only way you're humbled is if God does it. When he strips all the egos and the identities from you. Which he'll do if you seek him. But most people don't want to do that. Most of this world, whether man or woman, they want this kingdom. They want to rage and complain, about whatever they want to rage and complain about. That this isn't fair, that isn't fair. It's like, but you didn't vote for fairness with anybody. You voted for Caesar's kingdom. And I'm not trying to put down America here. I'm not. Because I think that what America initially started with the Protestants coming here before the Protestant churches are on the path of nowhere. But back then, in the 1700s, there was the will of God taking place. The mass exodus and coming here and making covenants. And covenants matter to God. And yes, I do believe that God inspired, the Declaration of Independence, but it quickly went in another direction. The founders themselves knew that. So although I'm not trying to put down America, because America's been put down left and right, I'm if I'm going to stand up for anybody, I'm trying to stand up for what God wanted. But I look at it like nobody wants that. Sad. It's really sad. Because nobody wants it because they want their system, but then you're a total hypocrite, whether you're on the left or the right, bitching and complaining about Epstein. Are you kidding me? You want a just system. You want accountability. But you don't want yourself to take the steps for that. Because the only way you're going to have total, absolute accountability in a fair system is surrendering to God. I mean, you fully surrender, not just, oh, hey, yeah, God, I'm surrendering, and then I'm going and doing whatever I want. It's all about my desires, my dreams. I mean, I get America's about, the American dream. But, so many of these, it was supposed to be, in God's eyes, to be and I'm not saying God's given up on us. He hasn't. But it's not just about praying. There's a time to pray, not that praying isn't always good, but there's also a time to stand up. There's another part of fruit of the Spirit, which is, stand, if you want accountability, if you want to live in a righteous nation, if you want to live in a just nation, in a fair nation, you will never get it via mankind. Or women, and I mean that women and men, because they want their system. They want their system, and let's just replace some people. It's like, that's the reason why when people say, there's no accountability, which isn't entirely true, but it's because you'll never have that until you can realize that man cannot do it. That's really, there's a freedom in that. There is. If man realizes, because it's their ego that tells them we're going to do this. What are you going to do? Whether you're on the left or the right, okay? What are you going to do? You can tell yourself all day long that this is the way God wanted it. If it was, you wouldn't have a mass traffic. You wouldn't have found out that there was this mass trafficking problem all through the history. I mean, in every part of the world. It clearly shows that every nation goes astray, which I think is what God wants people to see. Is you can't do it without me. You can keep bitching and moaning and complaining, but you cannot do it until you fully say, I give up, God. Only you can fix it. And then stop doing anything. That's never going to happen. Because that takes full faith. And man doesn't have it. Mankind, most people don't have that kind of faith. They don't have the kind of faith that what their faith says is, no, I have to do something. Really? No, you really should just follow the shepherd's voice. And most don't even know the shepherd's voice, which means you should just really be seeking it. Because the works come once you've surrendered. And they don't come maybe right away. It's in time. They just naturally come. And it's not something you're boasting about, or that you don't even think about it. You're just doing it. That's the works of faith. But most people seem to get it confused that you have to change yourself. You can't change yourself. Can you change yourself, here and there for a short period? Sure you can. If you want a long-term transformation, though, of the heart and mind, the only way you're going to get that is surrendering to Jesus Christ. Surrendering completely. Surrendering all will. It doesn't mean he takes away all your will. It doesn't mean he wants to make your life miserable. But all of this ego, from Nick Fuentes to Dean, to all these young people that have no wisdom, this is all a result of influencers on both sides creating many beasts.